Advanced Squad Leader is perhaps the greatest wargame of all time and has been consistently played for decades. But what about players who are new to the system or who are looking for a refresher? What tactical advice could they benefit from? In this video, I will share something I came across that should be of help here on Legendary Tactics. In doing my research on the history of the Avalon Hill Game Company, I was browsing through some old issues of the General magazine. In one of them, Volume 30, Number 1, there was a great little guide on tactics in Advanced Squad Leader by Mike McGrath. In this episode of The General Speaks, I thought I would summarize his 13 recommendations and pass them on to any new or existing players of this amazing game. Number 1. Know the rulebook. I'm sure there were some people that bought a copy of Advanced Squad Leader only to find that the core box held only a binder of rules, and that at least one module would need to be purchased in order to actually play the game. The rules for Advanced Squad Leader are infamous. However, the reality is that, although daunting, it actually benefits you to know the rulebook well. Read carefully, the rules will actually give you a lot of clues on how to play effectively. If you are really serious about this game, try to read the rulebook cover to cover at least once a year, and print and keep rules clarifications and FAQ to help you along. Knowing what is and is not allowed and available to you can help win you games or potentially cost you games. Number 2, don't stack. Unlike other wargames, ASL is one where you don't want to stack your units unnecessarily. If you spread out and form fire groups, it means that when attacked, an unlucky roll will only affect a single squad at a time. With leaders, a decent rule of thumb for spreading out is pairing one squad with a -1 leader and up to 2 squads with a -2 leader, but no more. Split your squads up, even if it means having one squad in a stone building and another adjacent in the woods, as opposed to having both in the better cover of the stone building. If you must have multiple units inside a building, use the upper levels when possible to avoid stacking. Number 3, be aggressive. Don't be too passive. Remember that, whether as the attacker or the defender, a lot of scenarios require taking ground. If you sit back in great terrain and conduct prep fire all game, you might get a lot of kills, but you will ultimately lose this scenario. Risk is a part of this game, as it is in combat and in real life in general. Look out for opportunities to deal a decisive blow and be assertive as a leader of your forces. Assessing risk properly is part of what makes someone a great player in Advanced Squad Leader. Number 4, don't be too aggressive. At the same time, don't be too aggressive, especially with your armor. Remember that tanks don't rout. There is a difference between proper aggression and recklessness. Don't do something just for the heck of it. Take a moment to think before you move. Make sure your play is as safe as possible by accounting for things like terrain and lines of sight. If you aren't sure, find another way around, or even move one unit at a time to minimize the potential damage. Essentially, if you have a lot to gain, you can afford to take some risks. Otherwise, play it safe. Number 5, plan your movement. Arguably, moving is the most important action in the game, so don't do it haphazardly. Know which units need to move and how they're going to get to where they're going. Move individually so that you are less vulnerable to potential defensive fire, unless you need to take advantage of the leadership bonus. Use movement to limit your opponent's defensive fire opportunities. Use blind hexes and other means to move without entering the enemy's line of sight. As another example, move a unit close to your opponent's fire groups so that they're not able to use subsequent first fire against your other units that are further away. At the same time, try to limit the movement of the enemy. Specifically, set up your attack formation and machine guns to maximize potential defensive fire and to punish any movement your enemy makes. Also, don't forget that sometimes you can simply charge an enemy position to defeat it in close combat. You don't always need to be shooting from afar, but be judicious with this, as it can be dangerous. Number 6, reduce the luck factor. As a player, understand that there is some luck in this game, so you must do all you can to mitigate it. The biggest consideration is to always be aware of the possibility and the consequences of a terrible die roll. Defensively, make sure that you use smoke, terrain, and concealment to minimize your risk. Don't run around in the open unnecessarily, and, as said before, don't stack your units. When rallying, don't try to rally units that need a 2 on the dice, unless you desperately need them in the next phase. This is especially true of conscripts that are broken, as they are more likely to go berserk and charge the enemy to their untimely deaths. And don't risk fixing a tank's main armament unless you really need it to shoot at another tank right away. Vehicles have a lot of uses, and you don't want to risk losing them to a bad die roll. Number 7, when your opponent is down, kick him. Be brutal and mean. Make sure that you fire at units you can eliminate or take prisoner. When an enemy unit breaks, try to eliminate it by making it impossible for your opponent to route it safely to cover. Any broken unit on the map should be put under desperation morale if it has a chance to rally in the next rally phase. If you can't kill a broken unit with a fire attack, try to put it under desperation morale in your assault phase instead so that it can't rout away. Number 8. Pick the correct type of attack. Adjust your attack style to match the scenario objectives, as it will help improve your chances of winning. For example, in Scenario 8, the Fugitives, you will want to concentrate your forces to attack at a single point. In Scenario 9, To the Square, you want to attack as widely as possible to force the defender to spread out. And in Deluxe ASL Scenario 1, you will want to grind slowly forward by prep firing and advancing. Number 9. Use your infantry appropriately. Assess your squads and look for any advantage. If your squads are especially sneaky, try to engage in close combat. If your squads have better range than the enemy, stay back and fire at full strength while your enemy's attacks are halved. Protect your units. Don't move into a space where, if you break, your squad will have to surrender or die, unless you really need to. If you have lots of leaders, save a squad and use your 8-0 leader to carry the flamethrower or a demolition charge. When attacking, set up your prep fire attack group with the leader with the lowest morale and best modifier, like a 9-2 instead of a 10-2 or an 8-1 instead of a 9-1, preferably with most of your high rate of fire machine guns. You can get away with the lower morale leaders there because this group is less likely to undergo morale checks, but the fire base still benefits from the modifier. By contrast, use 10-2s and other high morale leaders up front with the assault troops, where their higher morale should help them to pass the frequent morale checks that will happen, and then the leadership modifier can then be used to help the other squads pass the check as well. Always try to line up the fire columns exactly. For example, set up 2 squads and 2 light machine guns to get to the 12 column by exact count. While the Germans can mix and match machine guns to achieve higher firepower columns, everyone else should always put like with like. MMGs with MMGs, and HMGs with HMGs. Don't forget to use spraying fire, assault fire, and dash and snap where applicable. Spraying fire is useful for placing residual firepower and can be deadly when directed by a strong -2 or -3 leader, potentially even killing off 2 enemy stacks at once. Number 10. Learn how to use armor effectively. The most important thing about armor is its immunity to small arms fire. Unless up against Germans with Panzerfausts, they should be used aggressively to drive into the opponent's locations, using SD and grenades, cutting off the route paths of broken units, using bounding fire, etc. If you prep fire with a tank, that is the only action it can take. However, if you move with the tank, you can first try to smoke grenade or SD, then bounding fire, and then move into the enemy hex all in one movement phase. Also, staying in motion with the vehicle adds +2 to any reaction fire attack. When armor drives into a unit's location and survives, the enemy can't fire out of the hex, which allows the infantry to move forward and blast away in the advancing fire phase. This is the most important tactic in a combined arms attack, where even a very strong stack can be neutralized if a single vehicle can enter their location and stay alive. This can be the best use of any lesser tanks in your scenario. When on the defense, stay alert and don't let the enemy pull this maneuver on you. Have some anti-tank weapons close by, or place your good stacks of units in terrain which cannot be easily accessed by AFVs. Number 11. Use mortars well. If possible, use the light mortars in direct fire mode. Heavy mortars should also be used in direct fire if possible, but only if they are safe from return fire. Use mortars to shoot at any enemy units in the woods. They're also good against armored vehicles and at laying smoke, as they retain their rate of fire. Number 12 is McGrath's list of miscellaneous hints and tips. Always take prisoners except 9-2 leaders or better. It's better if those guys don't survive. Don't shoot at a broken unit that is not eligible to rally in the next rally phase or that will die anyway in the rout phase. You might accidentally rally them by heat of battle. Always put enemy units under desperation morale if they will be able to rally in the next rally phase. Don't remove dummy concealment counters even if your opponent knows that is what they are. They can both deny enemy concealment gain and go search out the enemy sniper to absorb an attack. If you don't know what they are, don't shoot enemy concealment counters. Bounding fire your heavy groups and run forward a couple of half squads into the enemy unit's location. Never let a couple of concealment counters halt your attack. Never search a concealment counter as it's too dangerous. Instead, run into its hex. Your unit might die, but it's more likely it will only end up broken and the concealment counter will be removed. Never get into close combat unless you have the advantage, as close combat is a chancy affair. Remember that if you get ambushed, you can withdraw to a hex within prep fire range of a nearby friendly tank. Shoot into a melee if it's your turn and if you can advance more units into that spot, unless you already have an overwhelming advantage there. Use smoke a lot. The only exception is a unit with a smoke exponent of 1, because these units get smoke so rarely that it's not worth the movement factor to throw it unless you're crossing a bridge or some other choke point. If you are trying to throw smoke on an enemy unit, throw white phosphorus instead. Even though the number is 1 less, you might just break that enemy unit. Only try this if you need 2 or less for a white phosphorus and if you don't need the smoke that badly. If you have a tank, gun, or mortar, and you are always putting smoke in an enemy unit's hex, always try for white phosphorus first. Finally, number 13, morale. Not the morale of your units, but your own. Make sure that you manage your own morale as a player. Many times players whine about their luck, get desperate, and try crazy maneuvers in an attempt to save what looks like a lost cause. These risky moves will likely only work 10% of the time. Regroup and reevaluate, cut your losses, and fall back to the next line of defense, and pretend that you are starting a new scenario fresh, but where you happen to be at a disadvantage. I hope this summary of Tactics 101 from the General was, if not useful, interesting. Thanks for watching. This is Legendary Tactics.